Hello everyone, good day and welcome to Alena Media TV. We are broadcasting from Toronto, Canada. I am Elsa Abraham. Kindly take note of our weekly activities and satellite channel. On Mondays, we'll bring you COVID-19. Tuesdays are African news. Wednesdays, African history. Thursday is entertainment and Friday is editorial. Saturday is entertainment and Sundays are your say. Our satellite broadcasting has begun. Kindly take note of our satellite channel frequency. Now sat vertical 12728. Symbol rate 27500. FEC 5/6. We'll bring you more details after this short break. Kindly stay with us. In today's editorial, we are going to talk about situations in Eritrea. Eritrean citizens in Switzerland protesting a recent UN report that states Eritrean leaders of committing crimes against humanity. A special UN commission released a report accusing the leadership of Eritrea of crimes against humanity. It cites cases of arbitrary detention, enforced disappearance, torture, rape, and extrajudicial killings. The statement says that up to 400,000 Eritreans have been enslaved in a vast conscription program, forced to work in the army or the bureaucracy for next to nothing, often for a decade or more. Isaias Afwerki, a former rebel hero, has ruled Eritrea since its independence in 1993. A constitution drafted in 1997 has still not been implemented. National elections have never been held. Opposition political parties are illegal. Many dissidents have been arrested and have not been heard from since. There are few civil society organizations and no independent media. It is tortuously difficult for Eritreans to obtain formal authorization to leave the country. The Eritrean government deserves to be called out of these practices, but the criticism, to be credible and effective, must be scrupulously fair, and the Commission's report is not. It extrapoles for anecdotal examples like instances of rape by military forces to allege systematic abuses and blame them on state policy. The Commission recommends that its findings be referred to the International Criminal Court that is ill-advised and will backfire. Initiating a formal criminal investigation would give the Isaias government more reason to retrench into its righteous isolation, a primary cause of poor governance and economic atrophy in Eritrea, which engender abuses in the first place. I have visited Eritrea for research several times over the past year, talking to the senior government official, including Mr. Isaias, foreign diplomats, local and foreign business people, and ordinary Eritreans. No doubt, the human rights situation there is frightful, and hundreds of thousands of cases of torture, rape, or unjust imprisonment probably escaped the Commission's attention. Eritrea also notes the North Korea of Africa. It too is isolated and secretive, but satellite dishes carrying the BBC, CNN, and Al Jazeera can be seen throughout the country. Though connections are very slow, the internet is accessible but appears to be filtered. Radio programs from abroad that are critical of the Isaias administration are widely listened to. The quality of education and healthcare is bad, considering that Eritrea is one of the poorest countries in the world. The foreign diplomats, the UN personnel in Asmara, often pointed that out, and many despise the presence of corruption. The United Nations Development Programme gives Eritrea high marks for its progress on several Millennium Development Goals, but you wouldn't know this from reading the UN report. And no wonder the commissioners relied primarily on the testimony of about 800 Eritrean refugees living outside Eritrea. They are inevitably hamstrung after the Isaias government ignored their request to visit Eritrea. but their research also suffered from selection bias. The commissioners didn't interview Western diplomats or UN staff based in Eritrea, but their own admission. They did not consult the relevant academic lecture. They discarded tens of thousands of testimonials from Eritreans defending the Isaias regime, claiming these were irrelevant or inauthentic. The result is a seriously flawed report that entrenches the skewed perspective long dominant in policy circles and the media in the West. Eritrea and Ethiopia leaders have been locked in a dangerous stalemate for over a period, but the decision of settling the border disputes over which they fought a devastating war from 1998 to 2000, but since at least the mid-1990s. U.S. policy toward the region has been driven by an almost single-minded preoccupation with counter-terrorism, and Washington considers Ethiopia to be its main security partner in the Horn of Africa. The Eritrean government didn't help in case by giving military support to Al-Shabaab, a Somalia-based affiliate of Al-Qaeda. It's been under sanctions as a result, but it has very good reason to feel betrayed, especially by the West's failure to enforce the boundary decision. The effects of that failure has been terrible. Eritrea and Ethiopia have been needling each other, including by proxy via various rebel groups throughout the region. The Ethiopian government, no less than the Isaias administration, has used instability in the Horn of Africa as an excuse to crack down on political opponents at home. Eritrea may top the committee to protect journalists list of 10 most concerned countries that Ethiopia is number 4. Yet, if Eritrea has received plenty of criticism, Ethiopia has not received enough. And this remains the case even though there are signs of change in Ethiopia and the West's strategic interest would be better served by a softer position towards the Isaias government. The war in Yemen has underscored the benefits of having access to Eritrea's long coast along the Red Sea. The migrant crisis has given European countries an urgent reason to keep Eritreans from leaving home. The European Union has pledged 200 million to help Eritrea reduce poverty, develop its energy network, and improve living conditions. Situations engaged in the only way to help Eritrea reform. The conscription program, for example, needs to be rethought and the term of service reduced to a fixed and reasonable length. This will require converting the many jobs currently performed by concretes, like farming, construction, and teaching, into formal civil service or private sector positions. Eritreans does not have the resources to manage such a comprehensive overhaul on its own, but foreign companies are wary of getting involved for fear they will be accused of profiting from slave labor, and Eritrea doesn't trust Western governments to help them. Shrill condemnations of Isaias' government also risk alienation the Eritreans' best position to push it towards sustainable change. Many older members of the diaspora still support Mr. Isaias, and through vast remittances and impassioned community organizing abroad, they offer essential support to his regime. Asmara's small business community has some influence on his decision-making, if behind closed doors, but the scathing attacks on his administration can seem overblown by his sympathizers, making it easier for them to dismiss uncomfortable truths about its real shortcomings. Mr. Isaias Afwerki's distrust of Western governments has hindered change in Eritrea. The United Nations shoddy human rights report will only make matters worse. Just days after it has released, there was an alarming skirmish at the border, apparently initiated by blatant threats in the past. The UN Human Rights Council is expected to vote on the Commission's report before the end of the month. While recognizing the seriousness of the situation in Eritrea, it should approach the report's findings with caution. In particular, it should vote against the recommendation to offer them to the UN Security Council and later the ICC. Otherwise, it will only help prolong the repression it has set up to prevent. This is where we end today's editorial. Please like, share, comment. Let us know your thoughts on this particular episode. Thanks for watching.